The main function of inner wind is to act as the movement for the mind. As I explained yesterday, without the inner wind, our mind cannot move to different object. Our mind is like a person who has no legs. However, by being mounted to the inner wind, it can move to different objects and it can function, Inner wind is a wind that flow through the channels of our body and that function to move our mind to different objects. It can be divided into gross, subtle, and very subtle. Our mind that manifests during waking time are generally gross mind. Our minds that manifest during waking time are generally gross mind. Our minds that manifest during sleep and during the death process are generally subtle mind. And our mind that manifests during deep sleep and during the last moment of the death process are our very subtle mind. They are called gross, subtle, and very subtle, which is in relationship to how easy it is to recognize them. They are called gross, subtle, and very subtle, which is in relationship to how easy it is to recognize them. So the mounted inner wind, so gross minds, mounted inner winds of gross minds are gross inner wind. And the mounted inner winds of subtle mind are subtle inner winds. And the mounted inner winds of very subtle minds are the very subtle inner wind. Very subtle, the very subtle mind, the continually residing mind, and the indestructible mind are synonymous. The very subtle wind, the very subtle body, the continually residing body, and the indestructible wind are synonymous. Okay, sorry. Really, I am myself learning, Since we have very subtle body and mind, we also have a very subtle eye. Our eye that is imputed upon our very subtle body and mind is our very subtle eye. This eye is the deathless person, which goes to our future lives, life after lives, without ceasing. It is this person that will become an enlightened being when our mind is completely purified. So these gross eyes, this means we have gross eye and subtle eye. When our gross body sees, gross eye sees. So for people who are denying future life is concerning this. When body sees, eye sees. People think also normally there are so much suffering, pain, difficult situation. You're thinking, if I die, then my body disappear, myself disappear. So they are indirectly denying future life. So this means they believe only gross eye. If they have knowledge of subtle I, then they are prepared to die, because suffering will not be ceased, because subtle I goes. The real I, the gross I is also temporary. Gross I like a dream I, which is artificial, not a real I, artificial. Body that the gross I is concept of thought imputed upon the inherent electricity body and mind, and the grasping I, which is the inherent electricity I. Reality, I that we normally see does not exist. But even we not think this ultimate truth, but conventionally, gross I is just temporary. Body that came from other peoples, and they be imputed I. Reality, ignorance. So therefore, this is not our real I. Our real I is the I that imputed our own body, that is subtle body, continually residing body. Upon the imputed upon our own mind, that is our continually residing mind. Continually residing means it is residing from life after life, continually, never ceasing. Also, this I is the continually residing I. Our normal I that imputed upon our gross body and mind is the temporary I, not the continually residing I. So in Higher Yoga Tantra gives everything clearly and competence. We don't need to appear to try. If we do correctly, everything here, if we prepare for future happiness, if we prepare now for the future happiness of future lives, freedom of future lives, we don't need to appear. We have competence to go joyfully to joyfully, If we have not prepared and instead performed many non-religious actions, then of course we have to appear. Anyway, death, we clearly understand death never causes suffering cease. The worst suffering is the suffering of the countless future lives. The worst sufferings are the sufferings of the countless future lives. Sufferings of this life is just temporary, short. Even it will be end tomorrow, if we dead. Also, if you wanted to sincerely wish to freedom, liberate ourselves from the suffering of this life, it is not renunciation. It's not dharma. Nothing any special. Because every living being has this wish. Even the animals, they want to free from suffering of this life. Everybody try to protect themselves from suffering, including animals. Of course, human beings. This is not special intention. This is not dharma. Whether learned studying dharma or not, everybody has this wish to free from sufferings of this life. This is not renunciation. This is not dharma. This is not any special intention. It's not just a temporary freedom from particular suffering. It's not good enough. This is the experience. Even animals, every living beings experiencing temporary liberation from particular suffering everywhere. What we need, why we have precious human life, we need permanent liberation from the suffering. So this means permanent liberation, sufferings of future life. Sufferings of future life is endless. unbearable, unbearable, For example, we can imagine that today we sleep in the luxury, very, very luxury bedroom, in the very, very luxury with the conditions, sleep as a scholar or practitioner or like with a proud, something I am thinking like this, as human being anyway. We imagine that today we are sleep in the very luxury room as human being, maybe special human being. And then due to particular conditions during sleep diet, the time there, waking time, if we reached place everywhere paved the fire, if we reach there, already reach, what we should do? The patient's opportunity to permanent liberation now finished. Everything too late. We lost previously. We have this opportunity with nothing done, any accomplishment. Now, when we have already reached there, then what happened? Like dream, permanent dream. When we are inside waking, we are reached a place, environment, world, which full of fire, completely paved fire, like dream, permanent dream, never waking. So then, what we should do? Everything too late. There's no any hope. There's no any knowledge, positive knowledge, only feeling of suffering. So then we may be afraid, This means we are afraid samsara. This we need this, We need afraid the sufferings of countless people like this. Afraid is renunciation, reality. We want to liberate from the sufferings of countless people like, So in reality, such a place which pervading entirely fire, like permanent dream, developed, experienced. In such experiencing, countless living beings, even now experiencing, future, everybody, time dependent, they have to go there anyway. Sometimes we go upper room, sometimes we have to go lower room, So this kind of situation, if we really think, then we need to, we really develop a plan to sufferings of countless people like, and wanting to liberate ourselves and all other living beings permanently liberate from this suffering, to renunciation, If we really wise person, we must be think this. If we already reached there, too late. Shantideva said, in the future, in such future opportunity, will be extremely hard to find. It's true, impossible. Because without meeting Buddha Dhamma, impossible to such opportunity.